Hey, fourth grade. Today we're doing lesson 14, and unlike other days, I'm going to actually use the problem set that you're going to be working on because sometimes it's a challenge to read word problems, and we want to make sure that we're understanding what we're reading both in our lesson and in your individual work. So question number 1 says barrel A contains 2.7 liters of water and barrel B contains 3.9 liters of water. And so I want to make sure that I understand it. The question is, together, how much do the two barrels contain? So I've got barrel A, that has 2.7 liters. And then I have barrel B, that has 3.09, which is 3 9/100. And they want to know, well, how much does this one, A, plus B contain? That's going to be what my question is asking. So I have 2.7 plus 3 9/100. Well, I know that 2 7/10 is a fraction that looks like that, and 3 9/100 is a fraction that looks like that. And I'm going to be able to add them when I make those be common denominators. So 2.7 is actually going to be the same as saying 2 71/100, because I can multiply 10 by 10 to get 100 and 7 by 10 to get 70, and that makes it an equivalent fraction. Then I can add 3 9/100. Then it's just a matter of adding it. I have 79/100 right there, because 70 plus 9/100. And then I have 2 plus 3, which would be 5. But they also want me to be able to do this in a decimal. So I know that 5 79/100 is going to be equal to 5.79. So the answer to this question is, how much do they both contain? Well, they both contain 5 79/100 liters. So as I look at this next one, it says Alyssa ran a distance of 15.8 kilometers one week and 17 3/4 kilometers the following week. How far did she run in the 2 weeks? So I'm going to be looking at week 1, and then they want me to add week 2 to find out, well, how far did she go altogether? Well, in week 1, she went 15.8, which I know is also equivalent to 15 8/10. If I'm going to write 15 8/10 in a decimal, it would be like this in a fraction. And then I have week 2, which is 17.34, or 17 3/4. So that's 17 3/4. So if I'm going to add 15 8/10, I'm going to need to figure out how to make those denominators common. So 17 3/4. So I'm going to have to change 8/10 into a common fraction with 100. So I know that 10 times 10 is 100 and 8 times 10 is 80. So 15 80/100 is an equivalent fraction. So I can add that to 17 3/4. Now when I add 15 17 80 3/4, when I add the whole thing together, I'm going to end up with 15 plus 17, well, that's 32. And 80 plus 34, well, that's 114/100. But I can't leave 114/100 that way, because I know, let's just move my paper there, that I'm going to have 32, and then this is 100/100 plus 14/100 left over. So this 100/100 is going to add one more to my 32, and it's going to make it 33 14/100, which if I write it in a fraction, it's going to be 33.14. So the question is, how far did she run in 2 weeks? She ran 33.14, or 14/100 of a kilometers in 2 weeks. So I have to get the numbers and I have to make sure that I'm looking at what are they asking. So I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Now, when I get to the back of this problem set, I have to be looking at what the question is asking. So an apple orchard sold 140.5 kilograms of apples in the morning. So this is the morning. They sold 140.5 or 5/10 apples in the morning and 15.85 kilograms more apples in the afternoon. So I have PM. So I'm going to have, this is my morning apples. Well, my PM apples is going to be 140.5 because it's the same as the morning, plus another 15.85 or 15 and 85 hundredths in the afternoon, because it says that it sold that and then this much more. So how much was sold that day? So I'm going to be able to take now, I have to add 140 and 5/10 plus 15 and 85 hundredths. So I'm going to have to change that to 140 and 50 100ths plus 15 and 85 100ths to get the answer just for this one. Then once I find out the answer for that one, then I have to take that answer and I'm going to have to now add that answer to another 150, 40, and 50 100ths, because it's going to take this one plus this one plus this one to be the answer. And when you get that all done, you will be able to calculate the answer on that one. I'm going to move to this last one right here. So a team of 3 ran a relay race. So we have a team of 3 ran a relay race. The final runner's time was the fastest and measuring 29.2 seconds. So I have the final runner, that was the winner, ran 29.2 seconds. The middle runner, the middle runner's time was 1.89 seconds slower than the final runners. So they ran that, and then we have to add what the winner ran it in 29 seconds, and then the middle one ran that, plus it took another 1.89 seconds. So that was the guy in the middle. And then the starting runner's time was 0.9 seconds slower than the middle runners. So we have the final runner, I called him the winner, but the final runner, the middle runner, and then the starting runner. And the starting runner ran 29.2 of the end, plus another 1.89 seconds, plus an additional 0.9 seconds. Now it says, what was the team's total time for the race? So we're going to have to add these two. We're going to have to add these 3 and keep that one. And when we get done, we're going to have to add all of them up to get the actual answer. So you're going to have to set that up to be 29 and 2/10 plus 1 and 89 hundredths, which is going to be the same as 29 and 20 100ths plus 1 and 89 100ths. So you're going to have to look at that, solve that answer to figure out what this one is. Then you're going to take 29 and 2/10, 1 and 89 hundredths, and 9/10, and you're going to add all 3 of those up to find out what this answer is. When you're finished, you'll take this answer, this answer, this answer, add them all up to find out what it's going to be at the end. Now, if you have questions, check with Mrs. Sisney and I. We'll be glad to help you during our office hours, during times that you need help. We're here for you. So enjoy. You've got this.